Welcome back to another video. This is a follow-up for CATIA reverse engineering on STL files. So I received the following comment from Kevin. Kevin is one of my most active users over here on the comment section. And let's take a look over here. So we see that it's very interesting to see how reverse engineering works with multiple CAD software. I was quite surprised by the difference between the rendering of the first model in CATIA and Fusion. And yeah, I do agree, Fusion highlights that a little bit better, but as we saw after that, the CATIA rendering looked quite poor at first, but once you improve the model in Blender, then the model within CATIA looked a lot better. Now, I received the following two questions. I have two questions. Instead of using automatic surface tool in CATIA for the modeling of the cylinder, wouldn't using multiple section for surface extraction have worked better? And yes, that would work a lot better. And I'm going to present the workflow for that. So let's go with that one. And after that, we're going to discuss CATIA 3D experience in this case. Now, within CATIA, I'm going to import the same model. So this was an STL within Digital Shape Editor. So I have that over here loaded. I'm going to check the information to make sure that the dimensions of these are correct, and they are. And let's take a look over here. So if I would to reconstruct this, I would use quick surface reconstruction paired with generative shape design, but this shape is not suitable for automatic surface, as we previously saw within the other video. So I would go for basic surface reconstruction in this case. And I can pick over here one of those inner cylinders. So over here I will check cylinder. I'm gonna select the point cloud. And now over here where we have this activate button, I can click on that and I will use the selection. In this case, I can go with a brush selection. I'm just gonna probe various faces over there on the interior, and this should be more than sufficient. I can now click OK. And if I will now click apply, we're gonna have that cylinder defined over here. We're going to see that in this case the radius will be, so based on this approximation, 3.99, so it actually should be a radius of 4 in this case. We see over here that deviation. But we now have that recreated, and for the following faces, we can go, for example, on top, we can either use a basic surface recognition to have that plane, or we can just define one directly starting from the bottom. So let's take a look at that. For example, for a plane, I can go ahead and I can probe various elements over here on the middle. For example, that triangle. Keep in mind that when you are probing this kind of elements, you're going to actually probe mesh faces that will be defined by triangles. So we see those three vertices and that face. You can also swap the visualization to wireframe, but again, the visibility over here is not that great. It's a little bit trickier. You can also go over here, for example, with shading, or you can go with a custom. In this case, we can maybe have the triangles over here for the mesh, but as you can see, that will not be that visible over here as well. So we can also overlap various faces over here. So if you want the lines, if you want other elements to be overlapping. But you can also stick with the default one, which is this one, shading with edges, or the first shading, because for a mesh, there won't be any differences. I can click now OK for that probe, and I want a plane over here. I can now click apply. And keep in mind that this plane will actually be large, so this is just a visual representation. Since this is a plane, this will actually go and expand beyond the viewport, but we're gonna see that it will look like this, and we're gonna have that located over here as a plane, and we can actually go and do some measurements. So for example, from this X and Y plane that we had over here all the way up to this one, we're going to see that in this case, since this was an automatic surface, the distance, in this case, the minimum will be 53.002. So most likely the original design had a nominal value of 63 millimeters in this case. And we can slowly go ahead and we can copy various features. We have over here another cylinder, but over here for the main body, that would be a lot easier to just have that reconstructed within surface. But for the inner part, I would go with something like this, with generative shape design. Once we have one of those cylinders, we can go ahead and we can make a pattern. So I want a pattern, in this case, the cylinder, but the reference will be the X and Y plane. The object to pattern will be cylinder 1. We're gonna already see that positioning, so I'm gonna go with this within reverse. The distance between should be something like 8, as I see it over here visually, but maybe even 10 in this direction, and we see that 10 will be quite a lot. I can go with 9. Or I can also go over here and do another automatic surface over there and then measure the distance between those two, because I see over here that it's not actually 9. So we do have a little bit of a gap, 8.5, I think, if that used to have a nominal value. And we can go over here with 3 copies. We're going to see that now with that value, the last one will not be that well aligned. So most likely the value will be something like this, or 8.7. And we can already see that gradient that we see also the yellow surface and also the mesh over here. And we can go with the second direction. In this case, I'm going to go with X and Z. The distance between this, I can also further extend it. But X and Z will not actually be the correct one. So Z and X in this case. So it will actually pattern that over there. So yeah, it will be X and Y in this case as well for that second direction. And over here on the number of instances, let's say that we want 5. I'm going to add over here a smaller value. I'm just going to add 8.7 and see if that will be the same, but we see that it will be overextended. So maybe it should be 8.5 in this case. We're going to see that even that will be further extended. Let's just go with 8 in this case. And we see that 8 slightly aligns, but not that good as it aligned over here. So maybe it's something a little bit different. This is why it would be recommended to just use automatic surface and measure between those. But we see that with a spacing of 8.1, we have a better fitting of those cylinders. And we can go ahead within surface and we can slowly reconstruct the primitive that will define that shape. At the end, we can cut everything, we can split those surfaces and we can join them together and add that thickness in order to recreate this box design over here. So this would be the best approach. As I said previously, automatic surface will not work in this case. Usually automatic surface is good for organic shapes. For example, you have something like a statue with many details. That will be something that will be almost impossible to recreate manually with various shapes and primitives. So over there, automatic surface will be the only solution. For example, you have a statue of a dragon that is either 3D generative designed or 3D scanned, and that will require automatic surface. And I have plenty of videos regarding that on the channel. Okay, so this was the first question. So again, it would be a lot better to have that model and not use automatic surface. But I just wanted to make that previous video to showcase how well Fusion will work with this case study part compared to CATIA, and you saw how quickly Fusion loaded that, and it was then converted to something that was editable. We can easily do cuts and fillets and so on without having to reconstruct all the surfaces. Okay, so now for the second question. Also, do you know if CATIA 3D Experience performs better now? Well, the fact is that I had to uninstall CATIA 3D Experience, and I want to have it reinstalled, but the problem is the software is quite large, so it was getting close to 70 gigabytes, and it just failed to update. So that will work similar to Fusion, and but Fusion will also work even without the latest update patch. But 3D Experience, in my case, I had many problems because I tried to start the application. It said that it's pending an update. I said, okay, I'll do that update. It started to download the file, but after that, it failed to properly patch that. And the only solution is to do a clean uninstall of the software, and after that, a reinstall. And this is the third time that happens within the last 2 years. And I decided that I will wait a little bit until 3D Experience will be more stable, because it's really frustrating that you want to start the software, you want to do something within, and you're going to see that it will not work. It will say that there's a new update. Okay, then do the update, but it will not be able to do that. So not sure exactly why the patching within 3D Experience CATIA works so poorly, but in my opinion, that is one of the reasons why I decided to just have that uninstalled. And I started to transition, as you most likely saw on my channel, towards Fusion, because that's just a lot more user-friendly. And in my opinion, it's really important to have a software that is user-friendly and easy to update and so on. So not sure exactly if they improved the reverse engineering algorithm. Last time I used it, Digital Shapeator looked the same, acted the same as within CATIA v5, so we still have the same features. Not sure if some of the tools have been improved, but most likely they have. But overall, I still think that the vast majority of the functionality will be exactly as within CATIA v5, because 3D Experience is actually 80% the same software. It was just taken in within a cloud tool, but the features will be mostly the same. The only advantage of CATIA 3D Experience is that the new features will only be available over there. Okay, so this was the video. I also want to appreciate your support to the channel, and you are one of the most active people in the community, so I really thank you for that. Okay, so let me know in the comment section what is your experience regarding CATIA 3D Experience, because I will want to have it reinstalled and start creating content for that again. But as I said previously, that was the main reason why I decided to have it uninstalled, because the software wasn't actually able to patch itself to the latest update. It just stated that it encounters some problems and it can do that. So not sure exactly again why the tool, the software acted like that. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this kind of content. You're going to find additional CATIA v5 videos over here. I'm going to add a playlist. There are currently close to 400 videos within that playlist with many tips and tricks. And if you enjoy this kind of content, consider to leave me a comment, and you can also subscribe. I'm going to add a subscribe button to the right. So that's it. Thanks for watching.